What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over the Reign of X era of X-Men comics, and we actually pick up with Cable number 8. Yes, Cable number 8. Now, with that being said, we actually do pick up with Cable teaming up with Domino. Now, if you're new to my channel and you have no idea what's going on right now with Cable, as we covered so far in the Dawn of X, X of Swords, and also Reign of X, basically right now you have Cable teaming up with Domino to hopefully figure out how in the world is Stryfe back. Because Stryfe is the evil clone of Cable. And remember, when it comes to Stryfe, Stryfe is actually more powerful than Cable, because when it came to Stryfe being the clone of Cable, Stryfe does not have anything holding him back like Cable does. Because with Cable, Cable has the technovirus kind of holding him back, and so Cable is unable to use his full psychic powers. But when it comes to Stryfe, Stryfe can actually use all of his psychic powers without anything holding him back. Now, with that being said though, when Cable found out that Stryfe is back, and Stryfe was the one who kind of had the cult go out there and kidnap mutant babies, Cable teamed up with Domino to hopefully figure out how in the world did Stryfe come back, but how can they stop Stryfe before he caused more problems for Cable and the rest of the X-Men? Now, we actually do pick up with Cable right now with Domino in Tokyo. Now, of course, you would think that the reason why they're in Tokyo is because Domino may have an idea on how to find Stryfe here in Tokyo. Now, before I tell you the real reason why they're here in Tokyo, I do want to remind you guys, when it comes to Domino, she has the mutant ability of luck. So basically, anytime she's in a fight or some kind of situation, luck is on her side. And usually luck always help her win different kinds of situations. Now, with that being said, the real reason why they're in Tokyo is because Domino is just hungry. That's literally it. That is the main reason why they're here in Tokyo. Now, of course, they do go to a restaurant called Galador. And of course, you should know that name because Galador was actually the name of the group of space knights that Cable had to fight in the earlier books of this Cable series right before X of Swords. Now, while you have Domino and Cable kind of just about to eat dinner and relax and hopefully talk about different ideas on how to find Stryfe, that is the moment you have Cable actually see somebody that he remembers. And that somebody is the guy who was the leader of the cult, the Order of the X, who was basically going around kidnapping babies for Stryfe. And so Cable's like, wait a second, why is this guy here in Tokyo? I just basically dealt with this man back in America in Philadelphia, and he was going around kidnapping babies, but I stopped him in Philadelphia. But here he is now in Tokyo. What in the world is going on? And so you do have Cable actually chase after the guy to hopefully figure out what in the world is going on. But of course, the guy saw Cable, recognized Cable, and that guy actually ran into a back room that got sealed up. And so if Cable wants to continue to follow that guy, Cable must figure out how to break into that sealed room. Now, luckily for Cable, Cable was able to actually open up the room because the computer was able to read his eye. And of course, the computer said, oh, you're Cable, or technically you're Stryfe. Yeah, come on in. Because remember, Stryfe is the clone of Cable. And so if Stryfe was the one who made this room for this weird guy who was the leader of the cult back in Philadelphia, it would make sense that why Cable was able to access this room. Now, with Cable walking into the room, of course, he confronts the guy he was chasing after. And that is the moment we come to find out that this guy is actually a clone of the guy Cable stopped back in Philadelphia in our last video. Because it makes sense. Why in the world would the same guy Cable stopped back in Philadelphia be here right now in Tokyo? Of course, it's a clone. And with Stryfe being a clone, it would make sense that Stryfe would make more clones left and right. Now, of course, you have Cable wondering what's going on in this room. But of course, the guy he chased after, you do have this clone basically talk trash to Cable about the idea why Cable just stopped going after Stryfe, why Cable took out his older self. Now, we know why Cable took out his older self. And for you new fans out there, back in the 1990s, you had a different Cable. You had a more older gentleman Cable. I say gentleman. I have no idea why, because Cable was not a gentleman. But either way, though, older Cable was always time traveling around the Marvel Universe, and he caused a lot of mess. And so you had this young Cable come out of nowhere, kill off, quote unquote, kill off, not really dead, the older Cable, because the older Cable just couldn't handle all the messes that he made. But either way, though, you have this clone that Cable was chasing after into this unknown room, saying that Stryfe is confused on why the younger Cable took out the older Cable. But then you have the younger Cable actually shoot the clone of the guy who was the leader of the cult back in Philadelphia. But when the guy dies, he does hit a red button, which does release a bunch of test tubes. Now, of course, when the test tubes actually open up, that is the moment we kind of find out there are a bunch of clones of Cable that was made by Stryfe. Now, of course, these clones do begin the process of actually attacking the real Cable. Now, I do want to point out one thing, though, because this is actually Stryfe just messing with Cable. Because with Stryfe being a clone of Cable, it's just Stryfe making more clones of Cable to kind of tick off Cable, really. But either way, you do have our Cable having a hard time fighting against these clones, but luckily Domino does catch up, and Domino was able to help Cable kill off most of these clones. Now, there is a good reason why I say most of these clones, because one clone was actually able to get away. And so now it's time for Domino and Cable to go after that clone to hopefully, one, capture it, to finally get some information on Stryfe, but two, to stop it and get rid of it before it caused more problems around the world for the X-Men, but especially Cable. Now, once they're able to actually catch up with the clone, you have the clone be prepared to take down Cable and Domino. Now, you would think, well, wait, you just told me earlier that Domino has the mutant ability of luck. Wouldn't her luck ability help her out right now? Let me tell you right now, just hold on that real quick for a short minute. But either way, you do have Cable and Domino being able to catch up with the clone of Cable, but then get trapped by the clone of Cable. Now, this clone Cable begins to basically talk about the idea that there were other babies that were kidnapped. Because remember, at the very beginning of Cable's series that was basically released in part of Dawn of X, well, Cable was going around trying to stop a cult, the Order of the Cult, who were trying to go around and kidnap mutant babies. Now, Cable was able to shut down what was happening in Philadelphia. But now this is the clone of Cable telling Cable and Domino that there are more mutant babies being kidnapped, which is really bad. But of course, Cable's kind of like, well, great, we're stuck here in this trap, and this guy is telling us everything we need to know, but it seems like he's about to kill us off. But then that is the moment Domino's luck ability comes in handy, because that is the moment a meteorite just comes right through the sky and goes right through the head of the clone of Cable, blowing his head up, killing him off, and Domino and Cable are free again, because Domino has that amazing luck power. Now, we actually do pick up with the older Cable, and this is Marvel really just teasing us that the older Cable is gonna come back, because we had this younger Cable for like, what, 3-4 years by this point in Marvel Comics, maybe just 2 or 3. But either way, though, throughout the whole Cable run through Dawn of X, Exosaurus, and now Reign of X, you have Marvel kind of teasing us with the idea that basically the older Cable is coming back. But either way, we do pick up with the older Cable in a different time, a different place, but he's going into some warehouse and apparently he's chasing after somebody. But when he goes inside that warehouse, of course it was a trap, and so now the older Cable has been captured once again. And so once again, we're left to wonder, is the older Cable actually coming back? If he does, what happens to the younger Cable? But of course, we have so many answers left unanswered until the next video. So with that being said, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.